Bosttradamus here, the March Madness video. Said I was going to do a March Madness video, so here I am. Great year of college basketball. A lot of really great games early. So I tried to follow it. It's too hard to watch all these teams. I'm going to go ahead and go through my picks anyway. And give out my winners, who I think the Final Four will be. Then we'll look at the matchups Thursday and Friday. And not really talk about a little bit about some of the seeds I liked and didn't like. Every year the NCAA has gone out of their way to kind of put teams where their fans will actually go watch the games and get good matchups that are good for TV. Sometimes I think they take it too far. Overall, it was pretty good. There was about 10 to 12 good teams all season, and teams that I think have a good shot at winning it. And there's not a real big favorite this year. It looked like 5 or 6 teams were like 5 to 1 and 6 to 1 to win, which are not great odds for favorites. And I think that's because there's just so many teams that are great. A lot of great pro prospects, a lot more than last year. Maybe even more than the great draft the year before. Not counting Porzingis, who came from overseas. But to me, this year, with UNC and Duke being so good, since most people that watch this are in the South, and if you're doing a bracket, people are going to pick those teams, obviously. So I'm going with Gonzaga to win it all, and I also like Arizona. That would be a great matchup if these teams work out the way they want it to. The Final 8 teams that are playing to get to the Final Four, all those regional finals should be really good. Got a possibility of Villanova and Duke, UNC versus UCLA or Kentucky, which Kentucky UCLA, if that happens, that'll be one of the best Sweet 16 games. And then Kansas, to me, has got kind of a weird bracket. One thing I don't like, Duke seems to have just gotten the easiest road out of anybody. Even Villanova. Villanova's got what might be a tough match in the second round with Wisconsin. And to me, the way Arizona played, they should have gotten a 1 seed. Gonzaga was going to get 1, and Villanova was going to get 1. I wouldn't mind Arizona getting 1 over UNC. I was actually going to pick UNC to win it all, even though I'm a lifelong State fan. And I don't think if you're a UNC fan, I wouldn't worry too much about them losing the ACC semifinal to Duke. They usually haven't always played that great. Duke always plays to win that tournament and has a great record. I don't think Roy Williams is obviously a great coach, but he's not always a great big game coach. It does favor this tournament setup favors UNC, where you get the day off after you win. You get to prepare all week, because UNC does have, I think, maybe arguably the best players on their team right now playing. Duke's got a ton of players that are going to be great. Tatum's going to be a big time player in the NBA. Maybe not next year, but eventually, I think. If he can shoot the ball well, and maybe even Kennard might have a decent, and Grayson Allen's a possible late round pick. So they're loaded and they look great down the stretch. They got an easy run. I think they'll play Villanova, beat them. Gonzaga's got a tough game. We got West Virginia, Notre Dame in their bracket, and then Arizona. That's pretty tough. For these other teams, Florida State, Maryland, I think they'll play. I don't know how great they are. St. Mary's might be good. And that was another thing. I didn't realize the depth of the field was so good this year. You got all kinds of teams with very few losses. So I think there will be a bunch of upsets like every year. Maybe not quite as many. Some of the ones I want to pick are, let's see. Princeton and Bucknell are probably pretty good, but Notre Dame and West Virginia, I think, are both solid. So I think they'll win. I think Maryland and Florida State will play. and then St. Mary's in Arizona. So I think the West will play out with the favorites winning all the way down, and including Gonzaga over Arizona. I think I'm gonna take Southern Methodist to play Duke, to lose to Duke. Take them over Baylor. That's one upset I like. South Carolina getting a 7 seed was interesting. Thornwell, I think, is one of the best players. He'll be a first round pick probably. Probably the best player Carolina's had I can remember. Since B.J. Mackey was a great player, I liked him a lot. But a real easy draw for Duke in the second round, probably the third until they play Villanova. They shoot a lot of threes, so if they miss a bunch, who knows? And I think Villanova will beat Wisconsin. I'm not sure how good Wisconsin is, and then Florida. Florida's definitely athletic and pretty good. That'll be a good game, I think. One upset I do like, and I'm strong on. Not really strong on too many of these picks, but I think I'm gonna take Wilmington over Virginia. Virginia looked real good to start, but haven't been that great since. So one bracket where I am gonna pick a lot of upsets is the Midwest. Iowa State looked really good. They got a real tough game with Purdue. If that happens, but even Nevada and Vermont have a great record, so don't be surprised if those teams even play each other or something like that. But Iowa State's going to be my real big upset pick throughout the tournament. I'm going to pick them to go to the Final Four over Oregon. And Oregon was probably going to be a 2 seed. One of their 2 best players is out. Everyone's been real harsh on them for that. They still played well in the tournament, lost to Arizona. And I'm going to pick Michigan over Louisville. Louisville getting a 2 seed to me was real weird. You can't, like, for instance, Oregon, you could say Oregon had a better season than them. A bunch of teams really could argue that. And Louisville can not shoot foul shots, so I actually got to watch them play a few times, and they could not even shoot 60% from the foul line. So in a tournament where you got to win 4 games just to get to the semifinal, I don't like their chances. They got a real easy draw in the first round. I'm going to take Michigan without even knowing much about them and beat them. I'll take Oregon over Michigan. Even though Oregon had the big injury, I think teams can still overcome stuff like that, especially when you got 2 games at a time. And what I think is a pretty easy draw. I don't think any of those teams are. You could beat any of those teams in the bottom section of the Midwest on any day. Iowa State playing Kansas in the Sweet 16 to me was weird. That was a weird draw. Iowa State could have been as high as a 3 seed, I think. And that's why I'm going to take them to go to the Final Four and play North Carolina. They're just good overall, and that they played great against in the Big 12 final. So stuff like that goes a long way, I think, just from watching it and statistically as well. All right. The seed I liked the least was Wichita State getting a 10. I'm going to take them to beat Kentucky. I think they went out of their way to put those 2 teams together. Wichita State a few years ago when they were number 1. Kentucky had that real good team. I think Anthony Davis was on that team. They gave Kentucky an 8 or 9. Wichita, I think, only lost 2 games that season or something. And they played a tough out-of-conference schedule, and their conference was good. They were really good that year. And, but Kentucky had some young players that were really good, and they dropped them down to 8. I think that game was like in Louisville or something. Really weird game. So I think they're trying to give them a rematch, but this is Wichita playing Dayton. The Dayton team is probably really good, so they got to win that one first. Kentucky's great. Malik Monk looked fantastic to start the season. He hadn't been that great. I thought he was like Kobe Bryant at the beginning of the season. Not so great now. And they're trying to put Kentucky with UCLA. They had a great game. UCLA beat Kentucky in Kentucky. That was one of the best games I got to watch. So I'm going to take UCLA to beat Wichita State and then lose to North Carolina. And then first game last, we won the Butler Winthrop game tomorrow. Would love to. I can't hard to believe Winthrop got out of 13, but they only lost 6 games, so pretty good team. One of the best teams they've had. Had some great players in the past, like Greg Lewis, Marcus Stewart. They got Greg Fisher. They got a pretty good team this year, but Butler beat some big time teams. I think they beat Arizona maybe and beat Villanova twice. So don't be surprised if Butler beats UNC, especially if they get off to a hot start in that game. Butler UCLA would be a great game, regional final too. So I'm gonna take UNC to win that and beat Iowa State, lose to Gonzaga. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hopefully do some NBA stuff soon. I liked Golden State to win it all. Picked the obvious, what I thought was obvious. I always thought Durant to Golden State would be a lot of fun, and it has. But how it will really be after coming back from the injury, that's what we got to find out. So, and Houston looks great as well. Boston's fun to watch. I don't think the Cleveland versus Golden State is a slam dunk. It might be. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like when, I don't know, but still, and I like San Antonio's Aldridge injury. If he's going to be out and not play, that obviously is going to be huge throughout the playoff series, where he would have been a huge advantage against Golden State and Houston. I don't think either one of those teams. Draymond could maybe cover him a little bit. It'd be big if he could come back. So I think this NCAA tournament's about 10 teams that could do it. A lot of good teams will probably emerge. I think somebody will emerge. So many good teams with good records. I think somebody will surprise their way into a Saturday or Sunday game a couple weeks from now. A chance to go to the Final Four. But I think the favorites will definitely show up. Teams at the top are really good this year. I'm going to go out and take Gonzaga. Finally get it done. I don't even think they played in the finals, but I think this will be their year for whatever reason.